that works. That works. Cool, cool, cool. Let me mute the audio though. So right. The console's still open. That shouldn't actually be happening. Right. So last time in the stream, I was working on a binding volume hierarchy. However, we got pretty close to getting it working. However, it seemed like we were getting some nodes that were empty. And of course, empty leaf nodes are theoretically impossible, right? That shouldn't be happening. So I'm curious about something. So if surface BR is less than FB epsilon, FLT epsilon, or surface BL is less than floating point epsilon, right? Then I want to do a debug break. So my idea here is that what if it's found a cost solution that's very cheap, because very simply one of the boxes is empty, containing no area, what will cause, you know, the cost function to be very low. But in return, that isn't actually a valid solution. So let's see what that does. Because if this is the case, it should never. If this is the case, it should trigger a debug break. What I hope. But it didn't. Okay, that's a shame. I'd hoped that would have triggered the debug break. So it seems that we don't actually have nodes that are empty, but that should be impossible. Oh, wait a second. Right, so say, alright, that the, why is this service area here? This is never used, right? So we can just get rid of this variable. So this is initialized to, right, the bounds here, cool. This is initialized to infinity, right? So if it's infinite, right, okay. So if there are no objects, the bound should be infinite, and that would cause the cost function to be very high, causing it to be disregarded. Right, okay. So, let's do it differently. Let's say if, in here, right, so if pivot equals 0, then I want to do a debug break. Because if the pivot is 0, that would mean that we got no objects in the pivot. I don't think this is the case, but it's worth a shot. Because it's quite... Okay, there we did actually trigger the this, right? So, okay, this is an interesting value. So this is distance of 222, and this is a distance of... this is reasonable, right? Because it's a model. This 222 is very interesting to me. That's interesting. These are like some exact values. Right. Interesting. Wait, what is floating point infinite equal to? Shouldn't be 1, right? That's interesting. So pivot is 0 here. Right, so first is 70, count is 36. So the pivot is 0, that would mean that this thing is empty. So how did this get to be 222? That's odd. That is actually odd. Let me actually disable the Raytracer view. Right, there we go. It's a bit less distracting, I think. So, how come that this isn't happening? So bounce left is 1. That's odd, right? Okay. Right, I know we can do to debug this a bit better. So let's move this pivot, this check in the else, right? Because this would basically do the same. If the pivot is 0, then it would mean the same condition, because then immediately would be the first one to trigger. So yes, this is going to hit as well, right? So the bounce left now is still 1, 1, 1. What is interesting to me, because that's odd, is, okay, so I just want to test, right? So let's copy this and do a test right here. So let's see what happens if I initialize this test variable. It should still be there because it's debug, it's just not used anywhere. But if this is also initialized to 1, 1, 1, that would be problematic. It is. Okay, that's big. So what if it reads it as infinite and its GLM is like, yeah, no, I don't like that. And we actually reach into a problem. So what if we do GLM right, I'm pretty sure there got to be a infinite here, so let's just try infinity, right? This is the not the float version, but just the integer version, I think. However, GLM might be happier with that version. We can always try, right? It's worth a shot. Because that indeed would mess up the cost function. Right. There we go. That looks more promising. That is actually infinite now. Right. So let's just replace this with infinity. Let's actually not replace all of them because I want to double check something. Right, so if I put a breakpoint here, this would bounce right would be equal to 1, 1, 1, right? Yes. Okay, that is actually very, very wrong. Cool. That is actually good to know. I did not expect that to be the case. That's very interesting. Right, so now this should never happen, the pivot at 0, I hope. Okay, these values still... Okay, we're still getting this. But that's okay, because this can happen. So, yeah, sure. Blah, 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 blah. However, now... Yeah, I need chips. It's going to keep running for a while. Right, sure. Because this is still true, right? We didn't change the actual scenario. So, of course, it's still going to fire. However, now, this one shouldn't fire either. However, we can still test for... Oh, I actually want the pivot thing. Right. So, I'm going to move the pivot thing back in here. But this should never fire. Because the splitting cost should be infinite now, if the cost is 0. Causing the split not to happen. And that should fix it. Can I still put a breakpoint here? Oh, it's already cool. Right, there we go. Okay, so we actually hit the end. We didn't hit the breakpoint, what is a good thing. So let me enlarge this a bit so it's a bit easier to read. It's never that easy, right? So let's scroll down. Right, so we're still ending up with 0 and count ones. So, and we're adding up with counts. So this would indicate leaf nodes, but they're... That's right, this would indicate branch nodes because they count as 0. But still shouldn't be happening, right? This is odd. Right, so we're still getting empty nodes here. The counts, on the other hand, seem to be quite... Right, they're still going. There are a lot of nodes in this thing that are actually seem to be populated. Although, could they simply be random values that were actually... you know, I have an idea. Let's actually print pool pointer at the very end. Printf pool pointer is equal to %d/n and then pool pointer. Right. So let's rerun this and see what the pool pointer is equal to at the end. Because I'm kind of curious how many indexes we're actually checking. Because I could simply be reading garbage data and it's actually correct, right? Because the pool is set up so it has enough memory for the worst case scenario. Assuming like a massive 3 with one object in each and massive. But we don't necessarily need that because they came terminate earlier. Right, so the actual pool pointer here now is 4,227. That's a lot of things, but we're partitioning way less, I think. Although that could just be... No, we might actually be partitioning 4,000 times. Maybe. Right. So 4,000 is about a third of the available nodes. I mean, that sounds about right. So how much was it? 4,227. Right, yes, this is all garbage data from here. So we're ending up with a node that is still very, very big in the end. So there's still definitely going something wrong. And we're still ending up with the weird count 0 nodes. Okay. Let's see a bit further in detail, right? So this is never happening because it's not 0, the cost, it's actually really, really high. If the cost is really high, that would force a split to occur. Yeah, it's expensive. Right, but what is the... We never actually set the splitting cost, right? So let's put the splitting cost to infinity as well here. So the cost is infinite, right? Yeah. Oh wait, the cost is 0, right? By default, it's initialized to 0. So the splitting cost is only set here. So yeah, it's only set here. So it would mean if there's no possible solutions, the cost is still 0, and the info is returned, but we're never checking here. We're simply up here checking the cost. But the cost is 0, so yes, we do the split. What's wrong? Because we don't want to do the split there. Because the cost is, infinite, not 0. So potentially this should give us a lower pool pointer index as well. No, it's giving us the exact same. Okay. Maybe I already... no, it's not set to. Okay. I don't think there should be... Yeah, we're still getting weird nodes in here that aren't correct at all. Okay, but this is progress. I really had hoped it's the... it was the cost, but it might still be. So let's put a debug break in the split access equals invalid thing. This should fire. Right, so this fires. This actually fires pretty early on, what is surprising. So this is only after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, this is actually reasonable. Because this is 12 depths into the 3 on the left. Because it goes left first, right? So, let's see. So we have here the info. Oh, splitting cost is still 0. Right. Did I initialize it wrong? I probably did. Oh, yeah. So it's the pivot that's infinite, right? So it should be the splitting cost that's here, right? So now this should be infinite, right? So this should actually trigger. That's the issue without having proper constructors. It's quite easy to get mistakes like this, but I think it's fine. I think it's doing the weird issue again where it's really, really slow for some reason. We're going to see what's doing in the on the top right. Okay, it just don't run. Cool. You know, I actually have a solution for this. We're closing everything, and then we rerun it again. Sometimes it's a bit finicky. Visual Studio. Okay, there we go. Now it's actually splitting again. I am kinda concerned why. Okay, now it's info is actually here, right? Splitting cost is infinite, right? That's better. So, if we return this, right? We return if, and we return. Cool. This terminates. That's exactly what it should do. So that part is working correctly now. So let's see where it ends and see how many nodes we end up with. So we end up with, this looks wetter. This is way less. This actually is big. This is big. Right, so hopefully fingers crossed. Ooh, this is looking actually correct. So this would actually point to 153, 155, yeah. There's no 197, yeah, this is still 215. These are all branch nodes. That's actually, this actually looks, oh, this is way too far down the list. This looks correct. Because this would be only node 3. So this would, so it seems that we do have duplicate nodes for some reason. However, this might be correct. This might actually be correct. Yeah, we do seem to have duplicate nodes. But we're not getting the weird duplicate issue, right? Or the zero, the last zero count something. But what I'm thinking might be happening here is we simply have a issue with the subdivision of the nodes, right? So we're subdividing the same node again, and we're causing the result to be the same. Sorry. I have massive trouble sitting still. Right. So how are we getting these duplicate nodes? Because I've seen left 1, 1 a bunch of times. What shouldn't be happening, right? So how is that happening? Because the rest looks very, very promising. It seems the right is going... I don't actually know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the counts aren't massive anymore. There are some big ones in here, like this, but these are all like good numbers. Yeah, this all seems very reasonable. But we still seem to be getting duplicate numbers. What bothers me. Right. So I want to see the return statement. So if we... yeah, if the cost thing is triggered, what happens? Exactly. Right, so a return, right? So the splitting cost is infinite because there are no shapes there. The splitting failed. Right, so how many... we have one object in the node. Okay. So of course the splitting fails because there's only one object, right? Okay. So then we return. So write info. How many... so right node contains 1, so left node is 0 and 1. A right node is 1 and 1. Okay. So this, I'm guessing, would terminate as well. Yeah. So this is going to terminate as well. Right. So current nodes count is 0. Oh. What if we're not actually getting duplicates? What if it's being cut off? I think this might be fine. We're populating the nodes, but the nodes are garbage. Right. So we're setting the information in the left and right node, I think. However, the count here is 0. So the current node, right, so it's left 1, 1. However, this node would contain the same info, I think. Although it's garbage. Yeah, let's see, the pull pointer is 25. So this would be... yeah, so we're actually continuing along the thing, right? Oh. No, something is wrong here. Something is definitely wrong here. Because we're subdividing again. What's odd? No, let me rerun this because I'm losing my train of thought. Right, so the subdivide here failed. Right. So we return. Then this is the parent subdivide, one up in the call stack, that returned from the left one. The right node is also 1, 1. That's going to fail as well, I think. Yeah, so that's failing. We return. And then this current node is set to 0 the count. What would indicate that it's a branch node. However, this subdivision failed. Did this subdivide? No, subdivide is simply void, right? So we subdivide again. However, the subdividing fails immediately. So these both just return, don't do anything with the data after being partitioned. So they don't move along the pool pointer, what's good to know. And this indicates now that it's a... Right. But the nodes didn't subdivide further. So this... I'm thinking, right? So is this what we're doing actually correct? Because these both failed to subdivide further. So that would immediately set these two nodes, left node and the right node, to be left and left. Yeah, so it would set them to be, hey, this is actually a... Right, so this is 0 and 1, and this is 1 and 1. Okay, I believe that. Right. So this both indicate that it's a branch node. Sorry, a leaf node. And the current node would be 2. However, we say, hey, we're subdividing this again in blocks of 1, size 1 and 1. And it's right. So then if I go to nodes, so this is pointing to 23. So right, so 23 says 0, 1, and 24 says 1 and 1. What is fine? Yes. Okay. So how are we still reaching the insane high number here? Right, so the splitting cost is here, correct? So current node count is 4. So what are these nodes for info? So we have left 2, what is correct, and right 4 and 2. Okay. You know, I might just believe that this is actually correct. It might not be, but we will never know. We actually don't store the model, do we? No, that's fine. We're simply rearranging the order of the model, right? So, let's actually start working on a traverse function. Void, no, sorry, this should be a RT. Yeah, it should be an RT triangle. And it should be a pointer. Right, okay, cool. So this takes in a RT model reference model. And this should be a constref. And this should be a RT ray reference and const as well. Right. So let me see what I had for the triangle intersects. So it simply takes a ray and a float t reference. The float t is important for the distance. However, we don't need that here anymore, because we can simply say, yeah, we calculate that in the BVH what actually the closest. Cool. So in the model.h, no, the model is just a data structure. It doesn't actually have logic. Cool. that's fine. Sure. So the intersect, right? What is this going to do? It's going to intersect the BVH. No, sorry, that's a bad joke. So it basically needs to loop over all the nodes and figure out what to do. Ships, what am I doing? Give me a second, I'm messing up with Visual Studio with my streaming setup. Right, there. I mean, you can't see anything of it because actually OBS does this all really nicely, but whatever. So the intersect, right? So the principle is very simple. We start with if m.nodes.0. We don't have an intersect for the box actually. That's a problem because we do need an ABB intersection. Did I actually not create this? I didn't. Okay, that's very, very interesting. Yeah, let's get a ABB intersection function in there. So bounding volume test, right? So this should have a bool intersection test, and this should take a do I want it? No, I actually don't want this in here. This could be simply actually in the BVH, I think. Yeah, sure. Do I want this to be in the BVH? No, I want this to be in here. That's right. So the bool intersect, and this takes in a RT ray reference, or sorry, a const, a float reference t, and a yeah. Sure. And this guy, I could simply actually copy the code from the block last year I made, because the intersection test is still going to be the same, right? For the majority. There is going to be some slight differences, like the I do need to name this, right? So Ray, and this should be direction dot x, and this should simply be z and y, and this should be a glm vec3, and I can simply say bounds. Right. So sign dot x, ray dot origin dot x, origin dot x, simply dot x. So this could be simply SCD swap. So I think I do need utility. Let me double check that. So SCD swap, I think it's part of the utility header. It's in algorithm utility and string view. I'm curious why it's in string view, but you know, it probably has some reason. Right, so y origin y origin y. I mean, I could do a master rename, but it's not worth it, I think, because I'd rather do this by hand. So it's I know what I'm doing, and it shouldn't take that much time anyway. So this now actually does the intersection test for the box in theory, right? So, yeah, cool. So, BVH, right? Sorry, yeah, BVH to CPP. So if not to 0 dot. Oh. All right. So we can simply do intersect. So we do need a float float distance, and we pass in the ray and the distance thing. Return simply, let's say, model.triangles.0. Sure. I don't really care what I return. I just want to return a valid else return no pointer, right? And this should be the address of, right? Yeah, and they should return. Yeah, this should actually return a const. And the function itself is const as well, because it doesn't modify data. Right. This should be const as well then. I really hate constants in some things. Hey, hello man. Welcome to the stream. So, let me give you a small update what we're working on. I'm working on CPU Raytracer, and I'm currently working on implementing a bounding volume hierarchy. So why do we need one? Let me show real quick. So let's see if ships have build errors. Give me 2 seconds to fix those. Where are we getting these from? Oh, this is Visual Studio. This is Microsoft Visual Studio. I think it's coming from here. Right, let's see if this runs. Right, so I want to... we're still getting build errors. Where are we getting them from? I think it's probably from the BVH node. Let me just comment out this part and see if this runs. Right, I just want to show real quick what the... right, now it runs. Okay, so there's something wrong there. Let me get open the Raytracer as well. Yeah, there we go. Right, so we're making a CPU Raytracer, and we can see that it actually renders models, right? However, it takes about 4 seconds for the model to render, what is quite long. So we're trying to build something that basically splits the model into boxes, so we can find the correct intersection much quicker. So that speeds it up from about 4 seconds to render the cow to, say, 30 or 60 times per second. So we would get like 16 milliseconds per frame. It's quite hard to say exactly how fast it's going to get because, I mean, we're still writing the code, but it should speed it up by quite a lot. Right. So I finally got done with building the BVH, what is probably the hardest part. Although it's very hard to see if it's actually correct. So now I'm working on the intersection code to actually render the thing basically. However, before I can test that, we're running into some compiling errors. I think it's probably just something simple. Set a cast from, so this is from a vec3. That's interesting. Right, so where am I getting this from? That's interesting. So the ray, that just includes it nicely, sure. Let's just include ray here as well. So this should be under core/ray, sure. Let's see if this compiles. Ray unreferenced formal parameter. Yeah, that's fine. Static cast cannot confirm from. Are we filling it in with integers? Right, so in the output, right? So this is saying it's in the. We're compiling bvh.cpp. And then it's complaining about this. And I'm pretty sure it's from the... yeah, I do make games, but so for my background, right, I'm a game student, and I specialize in games programming. So for school, I do actually make games, but right now, in my free time, I'm working on a Raytracer. So I don't... Well, I mean, specialize is a bit early to say, right? But my focus in the education is more on engine design and a bit of graphics than actual gameplay. Although I can definitely do gameplay, it's not really my passion. I like the architecture and designing side more than pure gameplay. So I can show you some of the things I've done before if I have the... I think I have. Wait, I can show you some of the things I've worked on, right? So the one game that we actually made with school. If you give me 3 minutes, I can get it up screen, because I don't think I've got it downloaded, so I need to pull it from source control real quick. Right. So in about 5 years, it's downloaded because it's quite a big project with all the stuff in there. Yeah, why did I pull everything? That's a bad idea. Okay, whatever. It should take a few minutes. We can just figure out the compiling error while it's pulling from perf. Right, so BVH, not right. So where am I initializing? Well, these are floats. Oh, yeah, right. Oh, we don't actually need points, right? Because points, yeah, okay, no wonder this isn't working. I copied it, but before my bounds were fac6. However, we don't have that, right? Right, so this should be, where's points actually used? Right, so this should simply be bounds. Because this is where the bounds get initialized, right? Right, now this should compile. Right, so the per force pulling is on about 45% now. So we created a bunch of branches. I accidentally downloaded all the branches, so I'm creating like 20 million duplicate files. But that's okay. Right. So now, for the testing of the BBH, I want to do one quick thing. So in the Raytracer here, sorry, in the actual Raytracer part, so we don't intersect the... right. We don't do this anymore. We simply say if bvh.intersects model and, so there should be dereferenced model and ray, then hits equals true. Right. So this should give us a simple box, in theory. No, of course it doesn't. Oh, right, we didn't actually set the triangle. Right, my bad. Right. So Unity is yes and no. So to your answer, is it Mustafa? So Unity is free in the sense that I think if you earn less than like 100,000 USD, it's free. However, if you earn more than that, you have to pay a license fee, I believe. I think there are a few other caveats and also. I know for a fact that Unreal is actually free. However, it's the same thing. So if you earn more than a set amount, you would have to pay a licensing fee. Yeah, so Unreal as well. So it's free to use. However, if you start earning like massive amounts of money, you have to pay a licensing fee. Well, I think it's actually very, very decent. Okay, this looks good. Right, we have a box now. Very good. We have a box. We're running on 30 FPS. Right. So the game downloaded that I was working on. So let me get it up for you. Right. Really features to do. Right. Right, now of course that doesn't work, because why would it? Ah, nice, yeah, I've used Game Maker in high school at some point. What was a interesting challenge? I think we had to make a like one of those bullet hell games with where you basically fly a small plane and dodge the bullets. It was really, really fun then. However, it was yeah, it's quite different from Unreal or Unity. However, you have some very powerful games made with it. I think you have what's it called? I think Undertale, for example, is actually made with Game Engine, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think let me check. I think the Game Maker site has some games listed that are made with it. Right. So let's see what they have on their site, right? Showcase, right? There we go. So yeah, Hyperlight Drifter was made with it. That was one of the big games I remember. Let me see if I recognize any other games. But yeah, some really cool games have been made with Game Maker. For 2D games, Game Maker's pretty solid. I wouldn't go with Unreal for 2D because Unreal is yeah, as I added a face cam, I thought it would be a bit more personal. But yeah, that's how it look. Right, so sorry, what was I? Unreal is very, very powerful, but it's clearly focused on 3D. Unity is pretty, I believe, has pretty solid support for 2D. However, I haven't used Unity before, so I'm not too sure about that. Or I think I've used Unity like twice, but alright, the project is almost up, ready to run. Never mind, it crashed because I launched the wrong lobby. It's been a while since I've launched it, so I need to figure out which is the correct level to set for the beginning. Yes, that's so. The programming is part of creating it to the pre-alpha. I mean, the Raytracer is pure code, right? So there's a lot of coding before I can actually get something. Level design. Right, let me figure this out how this was again. This is taking a bit longer than I hoped to set up, but sorry for the wait. It's almost ready. Right, so it's landing page, right? Right. Okay, I found it, I think. So, right, sure, let's just show you the main display, right? So this is our game. Very impressive, as you can see now. This is just the landing page, right? So yeah, I'm a student at Breda University, and this was our team name. Oh, let me actually see if I can. So we actually have some audio in this. Let me see if I can get an audio track going real quick as well. So says Raytracing is basically a technique where you send out rays and intersect things. So it produces very high quality images, but it's very expensive to calculate. Yeah, Wakino is the game. One of the games I worked on, right? So desktop audio should be Focusrite USB audio, right? Right. Okay. Cool. So now you should be able to hear the music in the game, right? So yeah. So this is our game. I think I could actually run it on full screen. It would be a bit better. So standalone game, right? So we actually have a proper splash screen. Let me see if I can run this in full screen. No, okay, I can't. That's completely fine. Whatever. Right. So one of the things we had, right, we have ability to modify. It has some problems, but you have the ability to basically modify your character and set a name. So for example, my name here, you can set the settings, and you can host a lobby. We have a few different levels. So for example, we have Castle Grounds, what I think is a really nice thing, and let's just host in free for all. So it's kind of a multiplayer game. However, it has a lot of problems, like a lot of problems. So like nice splash screens. I think the UI in this game looked really, really awesome. The artist did an insane job on this. Go on. Okay, I didn't think you struggled that hard. So the idea is actually very, very simple. You basically ride a pig, and you try to hit people with a pool noodle, and get points like that. However, it honestly, if I speak, it has a lot of problems. But the concept is really, really awesome, I think. But we simply chewed off more than we could handle. But this is taking a very long time to load. This shouldn't take that long. Let me restart, because this seems to be awfully long. Oh, that is... I think it might have crashed. Right, let's see if I can stop it. Oh, it might actually just be compiling shaders. Yeah, so what... Okay. There we go. Right, so it actually stopped. Right, let's just run it in viewport to see if that works. Right, so yes, that was one of the ideas that we had at the beginning. However, we changed that to be one player controlling both, because that ended up being better. Now the offset is gone. Okay, sure, whatever. Like I said, this game has some problems, and we couldn't fix all the bugs before the deadline was right. Now it's actually running. So, this is a shame. Not all the textures are there, but because it's still compiling the shaders. Right, but we can just simply wait a bit here for all the textures to load in, right? So the idea is that you can go around and basically swing the noodle. Destructible environment. It has some debug things in there still, but let's wait a bit for all the shaders to compile. But I think it's really pretty. So it's kind of inspired by a playground environment. All right, there we go. Now all the shaders are actually compiled. So you can see, I think it's really, really pretty. So there's an environment. We have like fence as well that you can run over that I showed in the beginning if I can find them. All right, so we have these fences. Yeah, and then you can destroy them. So we have a few other levels as well. We have 4 levels. I can show one more. So we do actually have this game online on itch.io, but if you want, I can put the link down. But if you want to play it, it's a very different matter. Yeah, Jurassic Playground, sure. Questions to multiplayer LAN only. I think it's taking this long because it's to compile shaders, right? And we have like intro cinematic inspired by like Mario Kart, right? So do forgive the some things not having textures. It's simply because the shaders are still loading in, right? So it looks a bit worse still. Everything's loaded in. Normally, this would, if you actually download the game, this wouldn't be a problem because all the shaders get compiled into the build. However, since this is a debug, like an editor thing, it only compiles the shaders when you first load the level, and then it is actually stored for the next time. However, since I just downloaded the project, it hasn't done yet. Because if it compiles all the shaders for all the possible levels, it could take forever, right? Even though you never might run that level, so it's simple optimization there. But yeah, this is the game. I think it's really, really awesome. It's the first team project that I worked on. I think we worked on this with 10 people, something like that, for over the course of 8 weeks. Right. So, yeah, that was the yeah, we worked with 10 people. So our teams are actually only growing. So last block I worked. No. This game was made with like 10 people. The last block. So the beginning of the year, I worked on a custom game engine with 6 people, and this block I'm working with 14 people, I think, on doing prototyping, and then I think the coming year we stay with the same team, or so the rest of the year. By the way, thank you for the follow, Mustafa. Thank you. Right, so with the Raytracer, right, we have this block. However, it's a bit black, what isn't great. So let me actually move the camera so we can actually properly see the square. Main, right. So the camera is looking. So my main is a bit of a mess, but that's okay. So let's put this at minus like 3. I think that should be fine. No, okay, that's the wrong way. Oh, and then we do need to move the lookout, of course. Yeah, I don't know, man. We're currently just working on a custom game engine and making concept for that for a tower defense game that will be running on the Nintendo Switch as well. But yeah, I have no clue when that would actually be released. Right, okay, this is decent centering. I mean, we're still in the education, right? And for most projects, we only have 8 weeks, so we can't really do too much. However, I think next year I will be going on an internship. I might actually be helping on a AAA game. And after that, so maybe the rest of the year I might actually be working on a bigger game. So who knows, I might actually make a cool game. Because we do actually have some games on Steam. I mean, not that I've worked on, right? But that the school has worked on. So, sorry, not the university, but the students. Yeah, there's actually, yeah, right, I remember. So there is, so I think we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right, can I get this copy page URL? Right. Yeah, so this is the Steam page of all the games that we made of the school. These are all, by the way, free to play because we're a university. The only reason we publish them on Steam is so that people can basically play our games and we can get feedback, right? So these are all free to play, and some of them look really, really cool. So if you have VR, Shattered Lights is apparently really good. I haven't played it yet myself because I haven't played VR in a long time. And Sky looks really impressive. It's kind of a flight simulator type of thing, but it looks really, really nice. Most of these games are still pretty small, right? But it's really nice. Mobler is fun as well. It's kind of a chaotic climber where you try to get to the top. Free to play. That's fun as well. Right. But yeah, that was it for the games. So I could show the. I shared the link. Should be good. Oh, right, I see why the shading isn't working. Yeah, because we actually do need the distance, right? Yeah, thanks, Taz, thanks. Yeah, I think if you want to learn how to program, it's never too late to start. It's really good practice. I think you can learn a lot by programming, and the best way to learn. Project Snow. Let me check out what that one was again. Oh yeah, I remember seeing. Yeah, I think this is one of the games that released this year. I've seen some talks about it from students, if I remember, or at least I've seen some images pop around. Yeah, it is hard, Stas, but it's the best thing to do is just start learning. Just start somewhere. Start with some tutorials, and you will slowly get there. It's what I've been doing as well, right? I didn't start out good with programming either. I started out knowing nothing, and I've slowly been learning, right? The easiest way to learn programming is simply starting. If you start with programming, you will learn. You keep improving by leaps and bounds. Because programming simply takes time. Yeah, YouTube is a great source. There are a bunch of online sources for reading as well. For example, for C++, there's some good online sources. Books can learn you a lot as well. So books I've been using. But books are less useful, I would say, actually, than YouTube. Right, that's actually a good question, Stas. So, as for a dream game, I don't really have one at the moment, or like a studio I want to work for. I'm quite open to a lot of things. So, even in this education, right, you usually don't start out with making, just like you. Sometimes you get a project brief, like say, hey, you must make a game with these requirements, but you still have to think of the actual concept. So we basically got the requirements. You have the team data flow. It's a tower defense game. It got to run on PC and the Nintendo Switch. But what data flow exactly entails is something you have to think about. You create concepts, you create ideas, and that way your game is actually generated and becomes something you created, right? So a game becomes important once you start meaning something to you, once you start creating it. And that simply takes time. And ideas. But there isn't necessarily a game genre or a game group that I want to be part of at the moment. So, Mustafa, what language are you actually learning? Is it... I remember GameMaker using JavaScript, maybe? Or Python? I don't remember what it used. I know it has the built-in like block the visual scripting. However, I don't remember what the actual programming language was that you could use for GameMaker. I know it's there, but I don't remember the name or the language. Yes, I hope that answered your question. Oh, is it just Java? Okay, that's actually really powerful because if you got access to Java, you can pretty much do whatever you want to. Right, so the intersection point here is 6. Oh, is it simply in the camera? So 6 minus 3. Wait, sorry. So 6 minus 3. No, the y should be 1. Okay. Right, so out, how much is out? Oh. So out is not that much. Yeah, fun, man. Watch them. Right, so let me just see. Return apply shading. So what did this return? I hate breakpoints sometimes. Right, so I'm curious why it's not. This should be fine. Let's put this a bit higher at like 6. The density should be decent as well. I could put that a bit up. And let me double check the camera. So the camera is at 1010. No, it should be fine. So the book should be red of color, I believe. Yeah. Wait, is the box red of... What is the initial color? Could it just be black because I messed up the color somewhere? Raytracer. So apply shading. Right. So is the shading? Oh, it is actually. Yeah, it's hard coded to red here. Okay. So let's put the light a bit lower. Add like 5. And put this to 5 as well. So that should be fine. I'm still curious why it's completely black. Because it shouldn't be happening. Right, so out at the moment is, it's near black, okay. So the distance is, right, let's see, light intensity is 100, distance is, so this will be almost equal to, no, this is still pretty decent. So we're still retaining one of the last value. Light color is 111, so this should be equal to, yeah, my major is game development. Right, so intensity is literally nothing. Could we simply not be getting... Why is intensity this low? That's odd. Because it should climb between 0 and 1. So how is intensity this low, right? Because L is 0.0051. But then this is like gone. Okay, that is odd. Right, let me put another breakpoint there. So L now is a different value, so 0.0 something. The intensity should become between 0 and 1. And this is okay. Yeah, yes, yeah, man. I might not be streaming when you get back because I have to do Christmas stuff with family. So I will be going in like 45 minutes as well. But thanks for the follow and thank you for watching. It was good having you around, man. Oh, yeah, thanks. Glad you enjoyed it. Right, I see. So this intensity is messing it all up. No, I have a bit of a weird schedule, as in I don't really have a schedule, mainly because I work as well in a warehouse during some evenings. So I have school from 9 till 5, and then I have to work from 5 till like 11. So I don't stream all days, but I do try to stream in the weekends when I have time and on some free days. But I don't really have a schedule, I'm afraid. However, it's in the weekends, it's basically whenever I have time, and if it's in the evening, it's probably somewhere at around 7 or 8 p.m. Central European time +1. So Amsterdam time, basically. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't really have a schedule. But I am actually trying to stream more as of lately because I do actually enjoy doing it. Right. Right. So is the intensity is 0 now? Okay. I think something might be wrong with blend fong, the actual formula. So let's look into that. However, fong, I think fong, we can simply use fong shading. What is a bit simpler but doesn't get the specular lights. Right, so the final... So there's something going on with the specular part, right? I believe this is all blind fong, the half, the intensity here. And I think I think we can just keep this, but instead return out, because I think this simply gives us the fong part. Intensity times light color times, yeah, where intensity is the light angle. So they should not give us the specular part, but that's fine. Because then we can actually start debugging the blind fong. I always had the feeling something was wrong with it. Because even with the cow, it looked odd. Okay, this is actually disappointing to me. Why? Let's put a breakpoint here again. I really had hoped this would work. But apparently it didn't. Because if it's black, that would mean the intensity is like 0. However, the intensity should be pretty high, considering the fact that the light is like right on the object, right? So the light is here. I have to do this in mirror image, right? And the object is here, so we should have like a pretty high intensity. The intensity is like, okay, it's not that intensive, okay. So what is the light direction, right? So the light direction is to the left, up, and into the screen. Okay, but we're probably hitting one of the edges, right? So the intensity there isn't that strong. However, this should still be a pretty decent value. And this is like still, this is 80% brightness, what is fine. Then the color is simply 1. So we get 80% times the intensity. So this should equal to, I can use a calculator here. So we have 0.0, was it 0.55? It's so 0.05. 0.0051 times around, this was like 80%, right? So 0. Can we give me the answer? Yeah, so this is 82. So times 0.82. So that's 0.004. That would actually be very, very dark. Okay. And that would result in not that much, because that times 1 is 0.004. That would actually be very, very dark. Right. So let's go over this, because this might simply, I might have done something wrong here. Right. So the light direction. Yeah, this is a pain. What if we simply return red? So this should actually make a red box. However, there is probably something wrong with shading, because it shouldn't be that black. It really shouldn't be. It could be black near the edges, I will gladly believe that, but near the center it should not be that, like, that black. So yeah, this does give us a red box because it intersects red, sure. Yeah. Sure. So Wikipedia actually has a formula for blink fong, right? So the first thing that we need for this is the light direction. The light direction is simply the light position minus the hit point. So one of the things I could see happening, right? It's it's black. Oh yeah, this is not gonna run. Oops. Let's say the hit point is wrong. That could be an issue. Although I don't think it is wrong. Wait a second. No. It's fine. Right, so the hit point is on the very right, up, and oh wait, sorry, I need to expand this, right? So it's to the very right, down in the scene and forward towards me. Sure. However, this shouldn't be in the light because the light is on 5 on the z-axis, right? So the light is still in front. So that part is correct. I do think this could be accurate. So the light direction would then indeed be to the light, would be to the left because we're going to 0, 0, or sorry, to 0 on the x-axis, quite up on the y, and a little bit in the screen. This seems perfect, right? So the distance is 121 units. Sorry, the square distance. So far this is accurate to the. However, the Wikipedia article here sets distance equal to the length times the length. However, we can simply not square root it and simply set it to the squared length immediately, which produces the same results. And then light direction. Yeah, it's just normalizing here, right? Sure. Then n.l is the dot between the normal of the triangle and the light direction. And then we clamp it. Okay. And then out diffuse is the intensity. So it's the light diffuse power divided by distance times light diffuse color times the intensity that we calculate here. Yeah, and this should normally be assignment. However, we multiply this by the actual object color. Yeah. Okay. So this should provide us with quite a decent thing. So let's do something like if intensity is greater or equal than 0.3. Yeah, that should give us like 0.3f. Debug break. Cool. So if this gets triggered, we would actually get a. Oh. If this trigger, sorry, I'm losing track of what I was saying. If that gets triggered, that would mean that we would have significant intensity on a pixel because we were getting about 80% intensity of the light from the distance. And if the n.l, basically the angle between the light and the triangle normal is anywhere significant, right? But it's all very small. What is odd? So why is this low? What is the triangle normal? Let's see what the triangle normal gives us. Of course, This is wrong. No, the shit. We've been trying to debug the shading, right? However, we're picking a random triangle. We're just picking the first triangle on the list, but that's not the actual correct triangle. We can't do this. We can't do the shading like this. That's actually stupid. Because we only apply the shading on the correct triangle, not just the first triangle. So we're potentially getting a triangle that's not even in the view. So the normal is basically facing the opposite way, creating no intensity whatsoever. But if it's a triangle that's actually close, we would get proper shading. Right. That is... yeah, let's forget about that. Let's forget about that. That never happened. That actually never happened. Right. So if the node intersects, right? So else we simply return. And then I want another function. This can be a private function. In here, void traverse BVH. I'm actually so disappointed by myself here. Right, so this would need, I think, most of the things here. So we'd need the model, we would need the array, and we need the floaty, right, sure. However, we need two things here. So we would need the object distance and so first box distance and a float reference object distance. Right. No, this shouldn't be inline. This should be. Can I? Right. Why do you not want to create this stupid function? Okay, there we go. So the intersect should simply call this. So they should simply call traverse BVH with the model, the array, yeah, so I need another float here. So let's just simply say float object distance. This is equal to infinity, and a float box distance is equal to infinity as well. And then I want to swap these lines because that makes more sense. And then we pass in box distance and object distance, right? Oh, and I'm forgetting something very important. We need to pass in a node here as well, right? So const BVH node. This can be a reference. Current node. And this function is const as well. and we start with we would need no, we actually can simply start with the we don't actually need this check, right? We simply say traverse BVH and then m.nodes 0. Right. And then we simply for now return null pointer. However, this should actually not be a void function. This should return a RT triangle pointer, a const RT triangle pointer. And then and this should return triangle. Right. And in the traverse, right, we simply say oh yeah, I do need to set this to the return value. This should be correct now? No. No, I still seems I'm still missed the signature. Right, now I should have the now I have the correct signature. Cool. So for the traversing, it's quite simple. So first we check if current node dot intersect ray comma, and then we want a simple temporary float. I think I could just do a float here. So the intersect here just takes the two values. No, I can't actually. Can I do this? No, I can't. Right, I do actually need to post it in here. Right, so if this is in here, then we simply return. Right, so this is our exit condition. So exits if we miss the node. Right. So in case we do hit the node, right? We know, hey, we hit the node. Very cool. So then if current node dot count does not equal 0, that would indicate that it's a branch node. Sorry, a leaf node. If it's a leaf node, we want to there should be RT triangle pointer. And then we need a for loop. This is going to be I, and this can just be current node. Oh, current node dot count, and then int index equals y plus current node dot left, and then if why was this here? So if current node dot left, greater than no, sure, that's just a bad test, right? So insert objects, right? So then if model dot triangles dot index dot, did I not have an intersect here? I should have an intersect in the triangle. It's not marked as const, I'm guessing. Yeah. Right, so index dot intersect ray and. Another float here. Float distance to triangle. And this is infinity. So distance to triangle. No, so you don't actually need this to set this. We can just simply do this. So if we intersect it, then we want to check if the distance to triangle is less than the current distance. So yeah, then object distance, then object distance is equal to distance, and closest shape equals model.triangles.y. Cool. And then we simply return closest shape. Right, this should be. Why can I not assign this? Right, because this function is marked as const. Because this function is marked as const, we can't get a. Can I just mark this as mutable? I think I should be able to. No. Right, no, it would be applied to class members. Could apply to the triangles themselves, but it sounds like a terrible idea. Right, so the. I mean, what we could do for now, right, is just not deal with this. I'm just not in the mood to deal with the constness. We can figure that out later. Right. Just don't mark this const and right. So that should be fine. Oh. Right. No, I see what the issue is, right. So we're passing this in a const model. However, getting it is considered not const. However, I think we can simply in the model we can add a right. So in that case, we can actually make this const. Right. I think we can fix this if we do a. No, I think I went one too far. Yeah. Right. No, I think this can work. However, we need the C++ operator overload. Right, so we would yes, so we would need the model. Model. Where is it? Right, so we would have the operator. So we have a const RT triangle reference operator. This and this takes in an unsigned y, and this simply return triangles dot y. And this function is const. Then we have another one that is the non-const version. Right. And now this should allow us to use the operator overloading for getting the index. So now in the, not in the Raytracer, in the BVH, they should now be fine. Operator. No. I'm surprised because this should be of type. Yeah, because it's taking the const operator. So a value of type const triangle pointer cannot be assigned to. Cannot assign the type of RT triangle pointer to the R value type of const triangle pointer. Right, so it's taking the const version. Right, and we cannot simply. Oh, wait. It's a. Yeah, no, this is fine. So we can have a const. Yeah, okay, right. I call lots of these. So this is the const RT triangle pointer, but this is a constant RT pointer, right? So this is fine. And then we don't need this weird operator. I think this should just be fine as well, right? Cool. That took more effort than it should have. Oh, and now I can mute this as well. Cool. Yeah, what was that? Right, the traversal. And then we simply return closest shape. Yeah, okay. So I think that's everything we need to get the closest shape. But if it's not, I'll leave note. We need to do something else, right? So if it's not, we have two distances: float distance left box and float distance right box. And then we have two shapes. So we have a const RT triangle pointer left shape. This is a null pointer by default. And then we can copy this and we have a right shape. All right. So then we can simply say if m.nodes dot current node dot left dot intersect ray distance left box. Then right. So if it's false, we ignore it. No, do I need to? Right, let me double check this. Right. Right, no. So because basically we need to check which of the boxes we hit, so we can start scrapping info. So if right, okay, so we check for the intersection. I don't care if they hit, do I? No, we can simply store this bool hit left and a bool hit right. And this is simply left plus 1. Right. So then if this glm distance distance left box distance right box is less than or equal to epsilon, right, so if it's less than epsilon, we simply want to say shape left shape is equal to traverse with the model dot nodes dot current node dot left comma array comma box distance comma object distance, right? And then we copy this as well, and then we say right shape plus 1. So why are we doing this test, right? So if the boxes are further away than the other, we can simply say, hey, we can eliminate this box. Because if we found an intersection, say on the left box, but the right box is further, then that means by default, everything in the right box is going to be further away. So we don't care about it. However, let's say they both intersected very, very close to each other. We cannot simply say, it might not be the case, right? So these boxes are at the same distance, so we have to check both of them. However, if this is not the case, so if this is not the case, then we say if left distance left box is less than 0 and distance right box is less than 0, we want to inverse the distance. Right, I believe we wanted to do this because this would mean that we're intersecting the boxes, but we're behind them? Or the intersection point is behind us. Though, why are we still considering this? Right. I mean, let's just copy this code from my old project, because I do think the traversal is actually correct on this one. So I will believe what I did then. Right. So if that, then if distance left box is less than distance right box, we say shape 1. So that's left shape is equal to traverse BVH model m.nodes. Right, so that's just this line. Right, and then if left shape right, so if left shape equals no pointer, we go in the right node. We say right shape is equal to this one. Cool. So then if it's the other way around, so if distance distance right box is less than or equal to distance left box, we say wait, why am I doing it like this? So right, so if the distance to the left box is further, so if the left box is closer, we do that. If else is the case, right, we can simply do else. So if, then else. So if the right box is closer, we first do the, this is an issue. So then right shape then we simply traverse left, right? So if the right shape is closer, we traverse right first and then left if there's no shape. Okay. So then we traverse there. And then if left shape equals no pointer and shape 2, so the right shape does not equal no pointer, we swap them. SD swap, left shape, right shape. And then if left shape equals no pointer, why are we doing this again? All right, if left shape does not equal no pointer and right shape does not equal no pointer. So if this is the case, we can actually immediately return shape 2. Return right shape, right. So this would mean if only the right intersected, we simply return the right. However, if they both hit, we need to do a bit more, right? Because this could be the case, right? So let's say, so this could be the case in this scenario. If they are both very close, we could have 2 shapes. Otherwise, we technically can't have 2 shapes. but we still need to. So if left shape, we can simply actually say if left shape and right shape. Right. Then we have a so if distance right box is less than distance left box, then we do we return right shape, and else return left shape. Right. So we're simply checking if the distance on the right box is smaller than the distance to the left box. Is that correct? No, it's not to the box, it's to the... No, right. No, we do actually need to do a bit more. So we have... right, we would need to do 2 triangle intersections here, actually. So we would need to do... right. So if left shape dot intersect ray, so we need to float ld and float rd, and they're both equal to infinity. Oh, then ray comma left distance and right shape dot intersect ray comma right distance. So if RD is less than left distance, return right shape. Else return left shape. Right. So in case both boxes are at the same distance, we need to actually check the shape that they found, right? So that would be left distance, right distance, intersect. Yeah, because it's this part, right? So we actually have a shape. Then we need to test them again, what's a bit inefficient, but this should be an edge case, right? This shouldn't happen very often, because that would mean that we have 2 boxes like in each other that would produce the same result. Can happen, but very rarely. In that case, we do need to actually check which shape is the closest. Then we return that one, and it traverses. I think this actually works. Though we do need to intersect, right? So then, no, this actually works. Okay, I don't know if it works, but this is all the code I think we need to traverse the BVH, right? So we don't want to do BVH to intersect. No, we do. Yeah, right. No, this actually should run. This should run. Let's see what this is. So it's building the BVH currently, what's quite an expensive operation. Although I could multi-thread this quite easily, I think. Because we have the job system, but the job system is actually idle till now. No, it's rendering. This might take a while, although it shouldn't actually. It should be, although it's debug, right? So all the timings were based on debug. That's our release. Release took 3 seconds. However, in debug it could take 20, right? So it's kind of a bad benchmark in debug. So I think we should actually close this and simply run it in release. Because it will actually give us a proper value. Because there's no point in debugging this if it doesn't run. Right. We just instantly I mean, it renders, doesn't render the model, but that's something. I mean, to be fair, I did expect, there to be issues. So, is this ever... Let's see first if this is ever true. Although I don't think I'm going to have time today to debug this further on stream, because I have to go in like a few minutes, I just see. Because I have to pick up my grandma for Christmas. But yeah. But I just want to see if this ever hits. Because I'm kind of curious about that. Because it might actually never be hitting. I might have done something wrong in the traverse. But that's okay. So in the bvh.cpp, right? Am I ever hitting this clause? I am. That's not great. Oh. Right. I see the issue. And hit left and hit right. And I think we want to put these actually first, because these are very cheap to evaluate. This is expensive. I believe Visual Studio, if it sees an AND, it doesn't actually even consider the second argument if the first one is evaluated false. So we want to do the simple flow comparisons first. So maybe this renders to cow. No. It's still render. It's taking actually longer to render. Right. I can debug this not today. However, I think we're getting very close to the BVH being complete. I want to thank you all for watching, and I wish you all a very happy Christmas. See you guys. Thanks for watching.